Hello. Hello, hello. I'll invite people who want to come sit down to please come sit down. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Too much? Okay. Good evening. Hello. I'm Stephanie Clark. I'm the Vice Dean for Students, and it's my great privilege to welcome you this evening to the awards ceremony for the class of 2025. So tomorrow we're going to celebrate all of our graduates in what will be the 49th commencement of Vermont Law and Graduate School. But tonight, we're going to honor a few remarkable students who have really gone above and beyond the rigor and the excellence that's required of a graduate education. These students are leaders across the professional landscape and represent perseverance and advocacy, as well as care and compassion for our community, each other, and the environment. Throughout their time here, they have made an impact that will forever be part of who we are, because as we know, swans fly together, and in doing so, they shape the flock. So with that, I'm going to get us started. I have one housekeeping item for awardees, which is I've been asked to make sure you know you need to come up the stairway and down the ramp, and then please, we want your pictures. With that, I'm pleased to turn this over to the director of our Academic Success Program, Professor Jessica Durkis-Stokes, who will be giving the Academic Leadership Award.
Thank you, Stephanie. Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to announce two deserving recipients of this year's Academic Leadership Award this year. This award is given to the graduating students who best exemplified academic citizenship in their VLGS tenures by demonstrating both high academic achievement and leadership skills, and who have served as role models for their colleagues. The first recipient, we do this we try to keep it a little suspense going. So we'll have a little suspense here for these recipients. The first recipient of this year's award is a student who not only has an outstanding academic record, but who has contributed to the life of this school in so many ways. She has served as a managing editor for the Vermont Journal of Environmental Law, as a faculty research assistant, as a teaching assistant for numerous courses, including criminal law and constitutional law. And she has served as a mentor in the Academic Success Program. She's also a member of the 2024 National Moot Court Team and an extern at the Vermont Supreme Court. So I'm guessing that maybe that person might be able to identify themselves at this point, but if not, I have a few other things to say about this wonderful individual. As the Director of Academic Success, I had a direct window into the number of students who sought out this recipient for academic coaching and mentoring. And let me tell you, she was consistently in high demand for her in-depth knowledge and her sympathetic ear. So we're really going to miss her very much next year. On a personal note, I'd like to share that this student is one of the calmest, most dignified individuals under pressure that I have ever seen in law school. It's actually shocking. You could count on the student to bring quiet brilliance into the room and to de-escalate high-stress scenarios with so much grace, which is something we need so much more of in the world. So I'm happy to announce that the first of our Academic Leadership Awards this year goes to Elizabeth Hine. Elizabeth will be an associate at Shook, Hardy & Bacon in Boston this fall. So the next and final recipient of this year's Academic Leadership Award is a student who excelled in all facets of law school life, hands down. She is an academic of the highest order, setting an incredibly high bar for accomplishment in her studies. She has served as staff editor and senior notes editor for the Vermont Law Review, as a teaching assistant for everything from, it's a long list, appellate advocacy to constitutional law to criminal practice and torts. She also served as a mentor in the Academic Success Program, as both a student and an advanced clinician in the South Royalton Legal Clinic, and as an intern in the Vermont Supreme Court. So she probably knows who she is at this point, but this student really is just the personification of intellectual curiosity. Students flock to her office hours because she really, I sometimes think there is maybe nothing about her courses that she has not contemplated. And her genuine enthusiasm about that really sparks enthusiasm in others. I've actually had the privilege of teaching this student both as an undergrad and as a law student, and seeing her rise and just become the rising star that she is has been really an honor for me. She is truly brave, genuinely kind, intellectually gifted, and incredibly hardworking, and she keeps sheep, which is a fun sidebar. So our final leadership award this year deservedly goes to Lindsay Wood. So Lindsay will be a judicial clerk for the Honorable Justice Waples this fall, and I am done with my awards for this evening, and so I'm going to turn it over to please welcome our next presenter, Professor Dana Smith, who is the Associate Director of Academic Success, and who will announce the Academic Advancement Award. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. The Academic Advancement Award commemorates what law professors know is true, that law school clicks at different times for different people. It is given to the graduating student who has, over the course of the student's academic career, made great academic advances from their first to last year of law school. Now, I remember meeting this year's recipient during her 1L year. She was in my office, nervous and losing confidence that all the hard work she was putting in would pay off. And I told her what I've told many students: keep working hard, take care of yourself, and the achievement will come. So today I get to say, I told you so, my favorite thing, because this student has absolutely knocked it out of the park since then. Not only did she survive appellate advocacy, which is a rite of passage in the 2L fall, but she was invited to participate in advanced appellate advocacy, which in and of itself is an honor and quite an achievement. But that wasn't enough. She advanced to the final round of that competition, arguing in front of Vermont Supreme Court justices and area judges, and won Best Oralist in that round. In her 3L year, she was a member of the National Moot Court team, where her hard work and dedication shone through once again at competition. In addition to written and oral advocacy, the student wrote onto the journal in her 3L year, which meant that she worked on articles for both the Vermont Journal of Environmental Law and Vermont Law Review. She was a member of the Moot Court Advisory Board and the president of the Jewish Law Student Association. All of this on top of her classes, too, and, having a life and stuff. So I hope when this graduate reflects back on her time in law school that this award is really just the cherry on top of all of her hard work and achievement and dedication throughout her academic career. It is my privilege to give this year's Academic Advancement Award to Allison Cohen. So next, I would like to invite to the podium the Director of the Animal Law and Policy Institute, Professor Delcy Winders.
The International Academy of Trial Lawyers Student Advocacy Award is conferred upon a graduating student with distinguished achievement in the art and science of advocacy. Before even graduating, This year's awardee has proven himself to be an outstanding advocate in a wide range of settings, including in the Farmed Animal Advocacy Clinic, where the clinic director shared it was a true passion working closely with him and witnessing his growth and dedication. He consistently demonstrated poise, preparation, and professionalism, distinguishing himself as a standout student attorney and an inspiring presence among his peers. His thoughtful advocacy reflects a deep commitment to using the law as a tool for meaningful change. He has also testified powerfully in the Vermont State House, volunteered for Vermont Wildlife Coalition, first as an intern, now as a board member, where he engages in public education and political action. He further served as a policy intern with Audubon Vermont, as well as founding co-chair of VLGS's Swan Society, which is the country's first law school chapter of the National Audubon Society, where, among other things, he has helped advocate for and taken action to reduce bird strikes here on campus. And then this spring, Vermont Senator Rebecca White introduced a bill that this student drafted, the Habitat Corridor Conservation Stamp Act, which would create a Vermont habitat stamp, which would raise revenue and awareness to help create wildlife crossings to mitigate the thousands of wildlife deaths that occur every year here in Vermont, as well as related damage, human injuries, as well as even human deaths in some years. He published an op-ed about this bill as well, and I cannot wait to see what he does next. I am honored to present the International Academy of Trial Lawyers Student Advocacy Award to Devin Brennan. Next up, we will hear from Interim Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Sue Tip Lamb.
Hello, thank you. I'm actually very pleased to be presenting two of the awards today. The first is the National Association of Women Lawyers Outstanding Law Student Award. This award is presented to the individual in the community whose personal contributions have helped advance women lawyers and promote diversity in the legal profession. The student who is receiving this award has been described by a faculty member as being a fearless leader, unafraid to step into the spotlight where others hesitate. She has been unwavering in her commitment in lifting those around her. In her clinic work, she made a real and tangible difference in the lives of her non-citizen clients. Through her advocacy, she brought peace of mind to individuals navigating the most complex and vulnerable moments of their lives. And she did it with empathy, diligence, and she has become an incredible advocate, first-rate attorney, period. You might know who you are now. I've been told by Professor Stokes to say this, period. I've also had the pleasure of working with this student for the past 2 years. In addition to being a fierce advocate, she has a lighter side. She always approached things with humor and a positive, fun energy. She gave creative suggestions and ideas and positive feedbacks that made the Taste of Culture event a big success. So I'm honored to be awarding this award to Javana Perez. Javana will be returning to the state of New York, and she'll be taking the bar in July. And after that, she hopes to be working with an NGO that align with her interests in the connection of immigration law, criminal law, and family law. Next, yes. Next, I will be presenting the Diversity Award, and this award is given in recognition of inspiring multicultural awareness in the VLGS community. So I'm pleased to present this year's Diversity Award to someone who truly embodies the values of inclusion, empathy, and cross-cultural connection. This student brought genuine passion in connecting with people from different cultures and backgrounds. He was a heart of the international student community, offering invaluable advice to prospective students, for example, how to deal with harsh winters of Vermont. Or simply just being present for those who are struggling. He was a student ambassador and also a SBA LLM senator. In those roles, he's been very active in supporting students across different backgrounds. In the classroom, he brought global perspectives and enriched all of our discussions. He brought empathy, respect, and intellectual curiosity to every interaction. Whether it's in team meetings or collaborative projects, the students consistently show what it means to create space for others and value diverse perspectives. So I'm honored to give this award to Emmanuel Amarin. Emmanuel is actually presently working as a fellow for the U.S.-China Fellow in the Center for Transnational Environmental Accountability. And he also plans to establish a Nigerian-based NGO dedicated to protecting wildlife, combating climate change, and advancing environmental justice across West Africa. Thank you. So the next presenter of the Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award is Dean McCormick.
It is my honor to present the Shirley Jefferson Perseverance Award. This award and prize is in honor of our on-campus legend, Vice President Shirley Jefferson, member of the class of 1986, fighter of racial injustice, and mentor to many. Vice President Jefferson. Vice President Jefferson grew up in Selma, Alabama, went to segregated schools, marched with Dr. King, and then became a civil rights lawyer before becoming the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and Diversity, and now the Vice President of Community Relations. Nothing came easy for VPJ, yet she remained focused on her goals, and generations of students continue to learn from her and be inspired by her perseverance. I have the honor of giving this award in Shirley Jefferson's name to one of our graduating students. I want you to imagine this. You are so motivated to get your education that you travel 4,915 miles to a place you've never heard of, South Royalton, Vermont, to go to school. That's perseverance. Now imagine you haven't been to the United States before, and you arrived in Vermont in January, in the snow, when school is not yet in session, and few students, faculty, and staff are around. You don't have a car. The country you came from has an average daily temperature of 80 degrees. It's now below zero. But you don't leave, you stay and study. That's perseverance. You're here for 18 months to complete your degree. You spend every birthday, holiday, and vacation in South Royalton, only being able to go home once during this whole time to see your young daughter and family. That's perseverance. You make these sacrifices and you endure because your goal above all others is to learn food and agriculture, law, and policy so that you can shape policy on an issue you care deeply about. In your country, there are over 1 million people who are food insecure, and 1 million children under 5 are chronically malnourished. You stay so you can learn and lead. That's perseverance. This is the story of food and agriculture law and policy soon-to-be graduate Laura Atta Aja Kamhene. to bring what she has learned to food policy in Ghana to help make sure that there is an adequate supply of safe, nutritious, and quality food in her country. She is particularly motivated to combat economic-motivated adulterations, a type of food fraud which results in mislabeling food products and concealing contamination. Her dream is to contribute to building a safe, more equitable, and sustainable food system. And because Laura's family is not able to join us from Ghana this weekend, please stand in for them and give her an extra huge round of applause. And now I'd like to turn things over to Kim Harris, Vice President of People and Operations for the John Delmar Award.
What did I do? Good afternoon. Am I doing something wrong? Where's Bill? Okay. It's my pleasure to present the John Delmar Award today. This award is given in honor of John Delmar, who served as the Director of Buildings and Grounds for over 30 years, starting in the earliest days of this institution. As I was preparing my remarks, I asked a few people to tell me about John. They described him as larger than life, as a man who was always looking for another way to make this campus better or more beautiful. And in typical Vermont Law and Graduate School fashion, he was also known to care deeply about the students. This award is presented annually to a graduating student who provided outstanding service to the VLGS community in the enrichment and stewardship of the physical school environment. Today, I'm delighted to recognize 3 students with this award. I can't imagine a more fitting honor both for John to have this award presented in his name and for the student who received it. The first student reached out to me in late September last year, asking for a meeting to scope out some locations to plant spring blooming bulbs. He asked this not to add work to the ever-long list of to-dos that our Buildings and Grounds team has every fall, but because he and other members of the Food and Agriculture Law Society wanted to host a bulb planting party. We met for that walk around campus, had a lovely conversation about gardening, and I learned that he not only has interest in growing flowers, but also worked on several vegetable farms prior to enrolling in law school. A few weeks later, a group of students were out digging in the dirt, planting hundreds of bulbs. And just the other day, I ran into this student, and he excitedly asked if I'd seen the flowers blooming around campus. Andrew Hockenberry, I appreciate your thoughtfulness, your enthusiasm, and your commitment to the beautification of the Vermont Law and Graduate School campus. Those bulbs couldn't have come at a better time. They are beautiful this week. The next 2 students I'd like to recognize together as leaders of a student group that has made a variety of impacts on campus this year. Now, I know I'm doing this in the wrong order, but the Swan Society deserves to bask in a little collective glory while I recognize its co-chairs. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Swan Society is a student group dedicated to birding. Just last year, the group was recognized as the nation's first chapter of the National Audubon Society on the campus of a law school. It is my honor to recognize the co-chairs of the Swan Society, Vanessa Krantz and Devin Brennan. Now you have to stand here while I say these things about you. Vanessa was especially helpful in providing extensive research about alternatives to rodenticides and other improvements we can make to our integrated pest management program. She's a passionate advocate, attentive to the details, and committed to making continual improvement. I greatly appreciate her efforts. Devin and I met this spring to talk about ways to minimize bird window strikes on campus. His passion for birds was evident from the moment that I met him. I especially remember the day that he poked his head in my office door to tell me that he'd contacted someone who could advise us on the best placement of window decals that will help minimize bird strikes on our campus buildings. With a bit of a smirk, he told me that this expert's name is Dr. Hannah Partridge. Not only did Dr. Partridge advise on the window decals, she also presented a program about the impact of window strikes and light pollution have on bird populations. In addition to these efforts, the Swan Society built several birdhouses that will be placed around campus this summer, and we're also working to identify locations to plant bird-friendly native plants. Vanessa and Devin, thank you for your efforts to enrich and steward the Vermont Law and Graduate School campus. I'm happy to introduce the director of the Environmental Advocacy Center and the director of the Environmental Law Center. He has a new title as of today, so forgive me for stumbling a little bit. Christophe Corchet.
Okay, great. It is, I have two awards to share with you all. The first award is the Mark Mahaly Environmental Leadership Award, which is awarded to the student who best demonstrated outstanding leadership in the field of environmental law. And as many of you know, Mark Mahaly was a dean of the school, an associate dean for environmental programs in the law school, professor emeritus here, and is still continuing his leadership in the state as a state representative in Montpelier. I want to say first that this award was an extremely hard one because we're VLGS. We have a lot of environmental leaders here, and there's so many wonderful people who are launching into the world of environmental leadership and advocacy from this place. But the winner of the award this year is a joint degree student and one of the most passionate advocates for environmental and climate justice at VLGS. I first met her during her 1L year when she wanted to talk through her future in bringing her legal training to her climate advocacy. In high school and college, she'd contributed to institutional climate action planning and had been a real activist. She mobilized her classmates to take to the streets on climate change, and she was here to bring that same drive to the courtroom. While at VLGS, she was a senior notes editor on the Vermont Journal Environmental Law, where she led a team of notes editors and mentored staff editors through the writing process. I was thrilled to offer her encouragement and support as she masterfully turned her note into a published law review article, "We Need Youth, Climate Change, Psychological Harm, and Legal Standing in Held v. Montana," which was published in the Chicago-Kent Journal of Environmental and Energy Law as an article this year. What a timely article, given those of you who were at the environmental commencement speaker. And as part of the Environmental Justice Law Society, she pioneered a mini climate lending library to bring inspirational and challenging climate change stories to our community. Somehow, through it all, she remains a voracious reader on all things climate change and is driven to share that learning. I was lucky that she was a 2-term student attorney in the Environmental Advocacy Clinic, where she had a chance to wow her clients with her passion, commitment, and growing lawyerly skills as she led meetings, research, and legal filings on the clinic's climate justice team. She won Best Leader and Best Teacher in our Spring Clinic Awards. After graduation, she plans to work in public interest environmental litigation on behalf of environmental justice communities and youth plaintiffs Congratulations and good luck to the winner of this year's Mark Mahaly Environmental Leadership Award, Lauren Carita. Our next award is Outstanding Clinic Student Award, which we award to a graduating student for excellence in clinical fieldwork based on the high quality of representation provided clients and for exceptionally thoughtful, self-reflective participation in the accompanying clinical seminar. This stellar student attorney advocate concludes her environmental advocacy clinic career this term, having contributed to the clinic as a student and through work study and an independent research project for a grand total of 5 semesters. When I started here 3 years ago, I could not have imagined this was possible for a student to accomplish, but here we are, and it is. She was instrumental in thoughtfully and tirelessly leading student attorney teams through an entire piece of complex federal litigation, challenging 2 logging projects in the White Mountains, from strategy to a 50-plus page complaint to a review of an administrative record running to tens of thousands of pages to more than 50 pages of summary judgment briefing, to prep for a 2-hour hearing before a federal district court, and over her time in the clinic, she was honored with clinic awards for Best Brief, Best Client Presentation, and Best Leader. Through it all, and through so many other meaningful contributions she made to the clinic, our attorney meetings, and other deeply important client projects, she embodied and embraced the student attorney role, becoming an outstanding writer, skilled strategist, powerful presenter, trusted counselor, and passionate advocate for her clients. She is funny, bright, and indefatigable. She has truly grown into an attorney during her time in the clinic in the best sense of that word. She combines incredible legal skills with intense commitment and care for people, her clients, and her colleagues. There is no doubt she will carry these skills into her next steps as a law clerk for the Maine trial court and beyond into her own practice. The EAC will not be the same without her. Congratulations and good luck to this year's winner of the Outstanding Clinic Student Award, Hannah Weisgerber. And now I welcome to the podium Assistant Professor Mary Mason from the South Royalton Legal Clinic.
Good evening. I'm here to present the CLIA Outstanding Clinic Team Award. This award is given for excellence in clinical fieldwork based on the high quality of representation provided to clients and for exceptionally thoughtful, self-reflective participation in the accompanying clinic seminar. In their work at the South Royalton Legal Clinic, this team worked with dozens of clients over 2 semesters. They worked on a variety of legal issues, from helping veterans obtain benefits or file for bankruptcy, to representing children and victims of domestic violence. These 2 students embodied what it means to give back to the community. They were an integral part of the thousands of hours of free legal services the SRLC was able to provide to low-income Vermonters in their time with the clinic. These clinicians worked as a team seamlessly to represent a survivor of domestic violence all the way up to the Vermont Supreme Court and to win. They exemplified the best tradition of student practice with their collaboration on a matter that had been ongoing for over 5 years and had been appealed multiple times. On this most recent appeal, they took ownership of the case, collaborated to develop the argument, drafted the brief, and delivered the argument before the Vermont Supreme Court. The best testament to their hard work is for the client themselves. I'm so incredibly proud of the way we handled this case. Every brilliant argument, every carefully crafted brief, every powerful moment in court. And just as importantly, every comforting conversation that got me through the hardest moments. To Erin and Bella, my deepest gratitude. The fact that you worked so tirelessly to get us here speaks volumes about your talent, dedication, and character. This is my third journey to the Vermont Supreme Court, and I've never felt as calm, relaxed, and protected as I did this time around. While this process will always be stressful, the simple knowledge that I had such an incredible team behind me made all the difference in the world. We at the SRLC could not be prouder to ask Erin Tavani and Bella Pickett to come up and receive their award. This team... Well, Erin's not here, but this team made not only a mark on the clinic, its clients, but also survivors of abuse everywhere by creating excellent case law. We are so proud of you. I will now hand this off to Tiffany Smith.
The practice of law is a journey, not a destination. It is a process of becoming. Each year, the Clinical Legal Education Association honors a student who exemplifies a commitment to justice, thoughtful reflection, excellence in practice, and deep community engagement. This year's recipient truly embodies all of these values. This accelerated JD student's journey is one of remarkable perseverance, profound grace, and transformational growth. From day one of the externship course, they were a model of engagement, absorbing every lesson and reflecting with intention while steadily shaping their identity as a future attorney. When I first met this student, I gave them an additional learning goal: build your confidence. They embraced that challenge with determination, turning every obstacle into an opportunity, and emerging as the confident, grounded professional we celebrate today. But their impact extended beyond their own development. With empathy, humility, and vulnerability, they uplifted their peers, sparking thoughtful conversations, offering encouragement, sharing resources, and providing feedback to strengthen the course for future students. Their placement at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission was anything but predictable. 3 supervisors in the first 2 weeks, a looming government shutdown, and chaotic executive orders. Amid all this uncertainty, this student remained calm, committed, and cheerful. They didn't just endure, they thrived. In addition to completing over 600 hours of public service for several attorneys and 5 administrative judges, this student seized every opportunity. Attending conferences, networking extensively in DC, and even observing a Supreme Court argument. Because this student embodies what we want lawyers to be: resilient, reflective, and committed to justice and service, it is my honor and great pleasure to present the 2025 CLIA Outstanding Externship Student Award to Michelle Medina Bennett. After After graduation, Michelle will take the New York bar and seeks a job focused on energy, environmental, and/or administration. Her dream is to one day, help Puerto Rico transition to renewable energy and reduce its reliance on fossil fuels. Congratulations. So the next presenter is the Dean of the Graduate School, Dan Bromberg.
Hello, and welcome to everyone, and I'm thrilled to be here presenting the award of Outstanding Online Graduate Award. So I'm hoping this student is joining us online, and we will find out. This is awarded to the graduate student who achieved high academic success during their time at Vermont Law and Graduate School and plans to use their degree to serve the community and the world. The first time I read a piece of this student's work, I was taken aback. I typically use this particular assignment as an assessment. While I do not explicitly say that to the student, once I read it, I tailor my teaching and provide the appropriate guidance to ensure the successful completion of the final assignment. I am lucky in that the assignment I am referring to is the initial proposal of a student's master's thesis. The opportunity to work with students on their thesis is a privilege. It is why we do this job. We get to use all of the tools that we have learned and honed over our many years of being researchers. The quintessential light bulb moments are frequent in the thesis process. As a student, it is often humbling. To this day, I remember my thesis advisor and all of the insight he shared and the guidance I sought. I certainly remember the humbling. As a professor, it's an honor to return this treasured experience and occasional humbling to the next group of students. It's a rite of passage of sorts. Unfortunately, after reading the initial proposal for this student's thesis, I discovered that she will need no advice. There will be no light bulb moments, no humbling, little guidance, and ultimately little feedback. The proposal was perfect. What a nightmare. The remainder of the experience went exactly as I dreaded. The literature review was remarkable, the research question nearly perfect, and yes, the final thesis was exceptional. To prove my point, I'm going to read the two concluding paragraphs from this student's thesis. This research has examined the challenge of expanding capital access for justice-impacted entrepreneurs in Indiana and the broader Midwest through a convergent mixed methods lens. By integrating quantitative data on lending disparities with firsthand insight from entrepreneurs, program leaders, and lenders, the study offers a comprehensive view of both systematic barriers and promising interventions. The findings confirm that formerly incarcerated individuals can and do become successful entrepreneurs, contributing to local economies, reducing recidivism, and building stronger communities. But success is not determined by grit alone. Without intentional investment in inclusive infrastructure, capital access, technical assistance, legal reform, and ecosystem alignment, most justice-impacted individuals remain excluded from meaningful entrepreneurial opportunity. That exclusion is not just a policy oversight. It is a preventable injustice with measurable cost. Seriously, the research and the policy implications had to be perfect. A clear disaster. Andy Huxhold is the executive director of Dismiss House of Indiana. She spends her days creating a welcoming community for formerly incarcerated people, providing support and helping them rebuild their lives. She spends her nights precisely from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. writing master's theses at the highest level with the highest quality I've experienced in the 17 years of being a professor. My only task in this process was to convince Andy to continue beyond her master's degree to pursue a PhD. It is my honor to present Outstanding Online Graduate Award to Andy Huxhold. I get to stay up here and present one more award for all of you. So this next award, I will present one award, and then Dean Beth McCormick will present the award. So I'm presenting the award for the graduate school. The Dean's Leadership Awards are awarded at the discretion of the deans to graduating students in appreciation for outstanding loyalty and devotion to Vermont Law and Graduate School. I'm going to say that again because it's in my speech. I'm here to present the Dean's Leadership Award, which is awarded at the discretion of the dean to a graduating student in appreciation for outstanding loyalty and devotion to the VLGS community. I met this student at the beginning of the fall semester. I greeted her in my introduction to policy research and writing course. In the classroom, the student would frequently ask for clarification. I would provide it, and we would move on. They would do this again on occasion in each class. I realized quickly that sometimes it was for her own well-being, but more often it was for the well-being of her peers. The pattern continued. She sought guidance, accepted help, offered insight regularly. She did not only do this in the classroom, but she did it with advisors, other faculty, and often with me in my role as dean. Once again, I realized she was not doing this for herself, but for the benefit of others. As a master's student, it's often hard to make change at VLGS. The residential period with us is short, and they do not have 300 other students to help support their ideas. That did not stop this student. She served on the SBA as the master's student's representative and pushed for ideas that were important to graduate school students. A few weeks back, I received an email asking for a meeting. She wanted us to share some feedback with me about the graduate school experience. I eagerly agreed, excited to learn how excellent we were doing. I even offered to take her out to lunch with some of the other students and have casual conversation. As we enjoyed our quesadillas and tacos, I listened to Erica Faulkner school me in how to improve our graduate programming. Always done with respect and care, and with all students' best interests in mind. This is the type of student leader we need at Vermont Law and Graduate School. One who cares more about the community than they do themselves, and one that is not afraid to hold the Dean of the Graduate School accountable. It is my pleasure to present the Dean's Leadership Award to Erica Faulkner for her dedication to this community and rightfully ensuring that I hear the voices of the students I serve. I will now invite up Dean Beth McCormick.
I have the last award to present tonight, the Dean's Leadership Award for the Law School. This award winner decided at age 9 to dedicate her life to helping the earth after she realized the effects that human activity had on 2 dolphins that she would see swim in murky water as garbage cans, plastic bags, and more contaminated the ocean floor. The first of many environmental cases she would and will argue was to her family, where she advocated to them to stop using plastic and stop eating fish. From there, she became an environmental activist, giving countless public presentations at 4-H. At 16, she advocated in a county legislation process to ban plastic bags. Her goal then, and still today, was to do everything in her power that she could to ensure that someday some little girl can just enjoy the dolphins. She graduated from Castleton University with honors, and then, lucky for us and the dolphins, she found her way to Vermont Law and Graduate School, where she's continued to lead. I never had this award winner in class, but I had the opportunity to see and hear about her leadership everywhere I went. An humbling moment when I watched her at a Student Bar Association meeting where she served as Vice President for Student Affairs. She was navigating a difficult issue with compassion, presence, confidence, and humility, and an impressive knowledge of Robert's rules. I thought, who is this student? And then quickly thereafter, how can I be more like this student? In that moment, I had a deep knowing, this is even before I knew about the dolphins, that she would go on to lead as a lawyer and an activist. As a student clinician in the Environmental Advocacy Clinic, she ably represented one of the clinic's clients, Standing Trees, in federal litigation challenging logging projects. She won a clinic award for Best Brief for her work on that case. She also represented American Whitewater, the Vermont Natural Resource Council, and the Vermont Council of Trout Unlimited to protect and preserve the aquatic and recreational resources of the Lamoille River Basin. She worked on an amicus brief with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, urging the court to uphold the state of Vermont's strong water quality conditions for the federal relicensing of several hydroelectric dams. And breaking news, we learned today that she won that case. Many of the people who worked closely with her talked about her mastery of the written word, and many spoke about her consistent and steady behind-the-scenes and calming leadership. I heard stories about how she comforted her classmates when they were grieving after the loss of Professor Kevin Jones, and when they were anxious about all the things, big and small, from what was going on in the world to how they did in class that day. Someday, I'm sure we will all say we knew her when, and we will be proud to have been able to play a part in her journey. Please join me in congratulating Willow Hogan on receiving the Dean's Leadership Award. Hold on a second. And now we're inviting Brock Monroe, Senior Manager of Alumni Relations, to the stage to present the class gift.
Before we close out this special evening, I want to take a moment to congratulate all of tonight's award recipients. Your commitment, resilience, and leadership have made a lasting impact on this community, and it's a joy to welcome you into the alumni community. I'd like to introduce our class officers, but no need to join me on stage just yet. President Sunny Anderson. Secretary Javonna Perez, and class agents Jacob Bedford, Hannah Weisenberg, and Dustin Elias. This year, we added representation for our online learners, and we're especially grateful to Dustin for helping ensure their voices are included for years to come. These dedicated graduates will help keep the class of 2025 connected to VLGS and to one another, because this is not the end of your journey as swans, but just the beginning of your flight. Each year, I know, I'm super corny. Each year, the graduating class comes together to leave behind a philanthropic legacy that will impact students to come. Past classes have raised funds for the Dean Shirley Jefferson JD86 Art Gallery, which you might have walked through, the on-campus food pantry, Charlie's Closet, and many other worthy causes. This year's class gift reflects the class of 2025's shared commitment to supporting students with financial need, whether they are on campus or remote learners. We all know how an unexpected expense can throw off a carefully balanced budget, and textbooks are often part of that burden. The funds raised will go directly towards helping students purchase their required books through Barrister's Bookshop, a student-run nonprofit that has served VLGS for over 50 years. I am pleased to announce that the class of 2025 has raised $4,170 with a total contribution from 70% of the class. While we're presenting the check tonight, there is still time to be part of this meaningful effort. Every gift makes a difference. It is now my pleasure to invite the class officers to stage to present the checks to Dean Beth McCormick and Dean Dan Bromberg. Thank you. And thank you again to the entire class of 2025 for making this gift possible and for the impact it will have on students for years to come. And now it is my pleasure to welcome back to the stage Vice Dean for Students, Stephanie Clark.
Thank you so much. And one more time, let's congratulate all of our awardees from the class of 2025. So this concludes the award ceremony, and I get the special privilege now to invite you to our back lawn where we will have a soiree, and walk with us if you're not sure where to find the giant tent on the back lawn. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.